And welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. The Messages of Inspirational Stories is proudly brought to you by the Big Three, me, myself, and I. I got to have a little fun. It's Monday. Sincerely, our wonderful show is proudly brought to you by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. That's sixminutewebinar.com. And Tanya, I just got to give a plug for our sponsor. We had a workshop on Saturday. And this guy, the object of the 6-minute webinar is to clearly get your message across to your ideal client. Sometimes people want to, demonstrate their ego and use big words and try to impress people. And we tell them use 6th grade level language. Because there was one individual in there kept wanting to put in other type of, bigger words to sound impressive. Well, if the person doesn't understand what you're saying, they're not going to buy from you. And Tanya, you will love this.
I will, I'm sure.
each question has a specific answer. And on this one question, there's 40 of them. His answer to the question was, I don't remember what the question was. He says, he was telling about his problem, how he solved this problem. And he says, I was trying to create multiple streams of income. And all I did was create multiple streams of poverty.
Oh, no.
We all cracked up because, Tanya, that is something everybody can relate to. Mm-hmm. Trial and struggle and, all that. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, we got Mr. Howard Berg on the show today. He's going to be back Thursday. But today I'm not going to steal in his thunder, but we had him on the radio show a couple of weeks ago. And I'm telling you what, he blew me and Bill Heinrich completely. We could have, went on a smoke break and not come back, and nobody would have known we were gone. He was that good. In 1990, I think it was, he holds the world's record for being the world's fastest reader. I think he said 25,000 words a minute. He'll correct me in just a moment if I'm wrong. And he could write, or can write, 100 words a minute. We're not talking shorthand.
That's amazing.
Here. Oh, yeah, he's an amazing guy. So now you know why we wanted here on the show to kick off our very first show here on Homeschooling Week, because Howard's going to share some things for the homeschoolers out there. Because let's be honest, I'll use myself as an example so I don't, embarrass anybody or put anybody on the spot. When I was in school, the only thing that I really looked forward to reading was comic books. You're not going to go too far in school reading about Superman.
Yeah, but it's fun.
Oh, yeah. And see, the school system back then had the same problem school systems do today. They do not know how to make education fun. Yes. So let me hush up and welcome. I'm going to open the door, and Layla Min, I want you to welcome Howard to the show.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Howard.
Nice to see you again.
Welcome. You too.
My goodness gracious. We are so honored to have a man of your caliber with us to take not only time out today, but you're going to be with us on Thursday. So if you just give a little brief intro about what the folks are going to get today and what the folks are going to get on Thursday, and anything else you'd like to share about your personal life, how you became a fast reader and all that. Go right ahead, sir.
Well, I owned a school that catered to homeschoolers. It was an online junior and senior high school. And my students on average completed college in 2.5 years. It now takes an average of 6 for an average 4-year degree. One of them actually did college in 6 months, the 4-year degree. They were writing 28-page MLA cited papers on the book of Matthew in 4 hours at the graduate level when they were 11 to 15. We'll be doing that one on Thursday. But today we'll talk about reading, studying, learning. A lot of parents struggle to help their kids learn and not quite sure what to do to make it easier for them to learn. They're ready to do it, but nobody's ever told them how. And we'll be doing some of that, what to study, how to remember it, how to understand it, how to read faster, some emotional intelligence skills. And this will work with any curriculum. I know there are a lot of homeschool curriculums. I used to speak at a lot of homeschool conferences, and they can use any curriculum they want. It's like water. It'll fit into any existing curriculum, but it'll make it easier to learn and retain. And that's what we'll focus on, how to help them get smarter.
That is amazing. And it was in 1990 that you were entered, or well, I guess you were definitely entered into the Guinness Book of Records for being the world's fastest reader. And was I correct on that 25,000 words a minute?
Yes, and no one's ever replaced it. It's the only person.
I can believe that.
It's 80 pages a minute. Maybe they saw me on Cavuto. I read the healthcare bill, the 1,500-page bill in 50 minutes on live television in 50 minutes. And then I did an analysis. There were actually 3 bills. The first was 1,500 pages. The second was 2,000 pages. I read that in 58 minutes. The one they passed was 2,600 pages, and that took 90 minutes. But it was a lot of material, so it took a little longer.
I mean, you just got it. That's absolutely amazing. That is mind-blowing. Oh, my goodness. There are some people probably listening going, I have struggled even getting through a chapter. You know, that's amazing. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Not after today. You'll learn how to do that today. I'll show you.
Right.
One of the hardest things for students is not getting bored. I'm sure a lot of parents have their kids like, do I have to read this? It's so boring. And there's reasons for that, and we'll go over that and how to fix it, and that'll make it much easier.
I'm excited.
Oh, I am too, to think I'm going to be smarter and better looking by the end of this show.
I don't know about better looking.
I'll settle for smarter.
I can't promise that.
Okay. Hey, I can dream, right? But really, I'll settle for
Me too.
smarter.
We'll both be better looking. Okay.
Yeah, I'll settle for smarter. I mean, that'll be a home run for me. But Howard, you've got a lot of experience in the homeschooling industry. I want to give you as much latitude and longitude and let you go, because we're going to be learning from you today, Tanya and I.
Yes.
And we want to let you just flow, because you got the experience, brother.
Flow and
And
go.
I'll stop and let you ask questions. How's that? And
If I can think of an intelligent question, I will.
let's start at the beginning. Why doesn't every student get an A when they read a book? And they do. A lot of them do the work. And the reason a lot of them give up is they did the work and they failed anyway. And they have no idea what they did wrong. And there's a reason. Most students think learning is a measurement of 2 things, hours and pages. If you say, did you study? Your students say, yeah, I read for 5 hours. That's a lot of hours. Or I read 400 pages. It's a lot of pages. Who cares? What did you learn? Did you learn anything? Do you understand what you read? Can you use it when you need it? I did a graduate course in educational psychology in 7 hours. That's a 5-month course in college. And I took the advanced placement test in 50 minutes. It was a 6-hour test. I got a B+. And why didn't I get an A? I didn't need an A. I was a teacher and I was building a company. So I didn't have time to go to school and I needed graduate credits. I needed a C-. All I wanted was the 4 credits. But I had to pass the test. So I needed a C-. I got a B+. So instead of spending $5,000 in 5 months, I did it in less than 8 hours for $65. And so I was perfectly happy with the B+, because my goal, and this is the first thing we'll learn today, what's your goal? When you're learning, if you don't set a goal, you won't hit it. Remember Zig Ziglar, wonderful man. Most of us remember. I lectured with him. I was very lucky to be on stage with him many times. And Zig would say, if you want to hit a target, you have to know what you're aiming at. What is your child trying to accomplish? If they don't know what their goal is and they don't know what they're aiming at, they have no idea what to learn. So the very first thing is, what are you trying to learn? What's your outcome? What's your win? And when you have that, it's much easier than just looking at 10,000 pages and saying, I have no idea what I'm looking for, and getting confused and scattered, and then just wasting hours and hours of time learning nothing.
And getting frustrated.
You scattered yourself so far, the things you need to learn, you never learn. So why don't I start with, what do you need to learn? I think that would be a good starting place for any homeschool parent. What do you need to learn? If I told you, Jim and Tanya, you only need to learn 5 things, just 5 things. If you learn these 5 things, your student will get an A every time. Would you like to know what they are?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Howard.
The first thing you want to learn are the new words. About 80% of a new topic is vocabulary. So what are the new words? And how do you know which words? Well, the writer usually makes them look differently. They're italic, they're bolded, they're underlined, they're in a table called a glossary, they might be in color, but they don't look like the other words because they're special. Those are the new words. So you have to learn the new words. That's the first thing. The second thing, names. Who's in the book? What did they do? And you don't know who George Washington is till you know who he is. So you have to find out, who are these people and what did they do? That's the second thing. The third thing are any numbers, dates, statistics, or formula. What are they and how do you use them? Third thing, numbers, dates, statistics, and formula. The fourth thing, in a textbook, most textbooks, there are sections. It's headings and subheadings to show you what the topic is in each section. What is the 5 big takeaways in every section? And that takes a little thinking, and that's why you're learning. As you're trying to analyze and decide on what the big ideas are, you're learning them. You're thinking about it. You're reflecting. You're not just looking. The fifth thing, and this is a big one, is the questions and answers. Now, in most textbooks, the questions are at the end of a chapter. Yes. Why are they there? It's the writer saying, when you're done reading this, I want you to know these 25 things. So if you're sitting in a book that you know nothing about, doesn't it make sense to read the questions first? Because the writer is saying, when you're done, these are 25 things you should know the answers to. But that's not what people do. They read the beginning and they get to the questions. They don't know any answers. They got to go read it again. If you knew ahead of time the 25 things they wanted you to know at the end before you started, when you found it, you'd know it's what they want you to know. It would be more significant. So if you know every word and what it means, every person, why they're in the book, every number, date, statistic, and formula, the main ideas in every section and subheader, and the questions and answers, what else do you think you need to learn? I'm going to tell you, not much. We did this with kids 11 to 15. We gave them a 30-chapter book in lifelong developmental psych, which is a sophomore college course. Remember, the oldest child was 15. The youngest was 11. They did it in 1 week, and I'll show you how in a moment. 15 out of 18 students took the AP test, the CLEP, and passed it in 1 week for full college credit. Now, if you like, I could show you how that's done.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, because I'm just blown away when you said go in the back and read what the questions are, and that will condition and prepare your mind. When you read your reading, it will click in your mind. Hey,
that's what they want me to know.
Yeah, exactly. That's amazing. That's absolutely
What is everyone else doing? They get to the answer. I didn't know that was important. I got to go find it. It's 50 pages. You got to read it again.
Yeah, exactly.
You know ahead of time what you're looking for. Remember what Zig said. If you want to hit a target, you got to know what you're aiming at. Well, the aim is, what are the answers to the questions?
I like that.
Yeah, really.
They wrote the book. You don't know. You're not the writer. You would have hoped the person writing a book on something you know nothing about would be in a better position to tell you what matters than someone who knows nothing.
Absolutely.
Now, here's a way to learn it in 1/5 the time. This is what we did with the kids. This is a super strategy. I gave you a basic strategy. Now I'm going to take it up over here. Okay. I mentioned 5 things. We took these kids and broke them into groups of 5. In the first chapter, Howard, you find just the new words. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Jim, you just find the names. That's all you're looking for, the names and what they did. Tanya, you're going to find all the numbers, dates, statistics, and formula. And the next person is going to look for the 5 main takeaways. And the last person is going to look for questions and answers. That's chapter 1. But in chapter 2, we rotate. Howard, you're going to find the names, and each person moves up a slot. And we all do one slice of the 5 in each chapter. One slice. Mm-hmm. Then we have a table, which I'll show you how to make in a moment. And all the students take all of the information into a big table. They study the table. It has all the words, all the names, all the numbers, dates, statistics, the main ideas and questions and answers. And that's all they need to know. And they study that for a week. They take the AP test. They get the college credit. That's how easy.
Wow.
Now, would you like to see how to do that in the table?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You set up a 3-column table in a Word document. The first column is the word. The second column is the definition. The first column is the name. The second column is what did they do. The first column is the number or formula. The second column is how you use it. The first column is a key term or word, a trigger. And then the second column is one of the 5 main ideas. And the first column is a question. The second column is the answer. Now, if you want to take it up one more notch, the third column is what you'll do with the information. So if I'm studying something to learn, I'll write in the third column how I'll use it. So now I make sure that every day I take 1 to 2 or 3 of the things I'm going to use and use it. And when do you learn? You learn by doing, not reading. Mm-hmm. Reading by itself, you will not learn. So you take and you use that information in some useful way. Here's one more thing you can do. You can write in the third column, what did they do to make this interesting? Why would you do that? Because you're going to write. At some point, if you're a student, you're going to write. You just found something that makes writing interesting. Was it a story, a joke, an illustration, an example? What did they do that you said, wow, that was amazing? You know what? You can do that too when you're writing, so other people will read what you write and say, wow, that was amazing, because it works. So don't just read to learn what the writer is doing that made it interesting. And then you use that as well when you're writing. So now you have a double win. You not only learn the information, but what made it good, what made it meaningful. Mm-hmm. And now you have something you can use when you're writing to make things meaningful and useful to other people. A double win.
That's simply amazing, isn't it, Tanya?
It's absolutely amazing. And of course, when you're talking, Howard, I have questions going off in my brain like no tomorrow. But may I ask you a question very quickly? Is that okay with you? My question is, well, great. Here we go. So I have 2 questions. My first one would be, how in the world did you just come up with this? How did this originate? Was this your? I'm interested to know the origin of this strategy. Number 1. My second question would be, I'm an adult learner. I'm in grad, doing some postgraduate work and that type of thing. So my question is this strategy feasible in all types of learning? And it doesn't really matter. Anyone can do it.
Let me answer the second question first, then I'll go into the first. We did this in a graduate program, an MBA program. And in an MBA program, the hardest course is operations management. It's extremely detailed. So we took these these adults, the normal course, I think it took 10 to 12 weeks. And the average grade on the standardized final was 72. We taught them how to learn. They finished the entire program in 2 weeks, and the lowest grade was a 92. Same material and same test.
So you created the strategy, then you kind of did like a case study or kind of like a trial, and then you evaluated your outcomes. And so then you did it in all different levels of learning. Is that accurate?
Yeah. You can use it in postdoctorate, you can use it in third grade. Wow. Doesn't matter. The difference is what you're reading, not how you learn it. Learning isn't changing. What's changing is what you learn, not how you learn. Memory is memory, and comprehension is comprehension. The difference is, say, an adult might read a spreadsheet in a business course, and a student might read a novel, but the reading part's the same. What's different is the material that they're digesting and abstracting, but the actual process of learning and understanding and applying, it's irrelevant what age you are. I had an 84-year-old read 3 books in 3 hours the day after I taught her. So it's not an age thing. My oldest student was 92 and my youngest was 8. That's a pretty broad range. Before 8, they can't read. So you really can't speed them up when they don't have, English is still a foreign language. So you can't speed up. You can teach them how to learn, though. You can teach them how to remember, so they learn their letters and their words. But you can't speed them up before third grade because they can't read yet.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you, and I'm just thinking back, when I was in school, and goodness gracious, if I would have had those kind of results, that would have excited me. That would have encouraged me. And also the feeling of accomplishment, That's a hard word for me to get out because I didn't experience it too much in school.
No, school was terrible. Most of us, we couldn't wait for the bell to ring. Someone killed me. Yeah. Someone killed. Now, I taught for 10 years in New York in the inner city. My job interview was, teachers get killed here. Do you want the job? I was 21. I was 21, so I got nailed it. I should have. They're telling me nobody wants to work here, but I'm a kid out of college. I nailed it, got the job. Well, in 10 years, 4 teachers went out on a stretcher. One was in a coma. It was a tough school. Yeah. It was as bad as they made it out to be. But I learned one thing: as long as they were laughing, they wouldn't kill me. So I found the best way to teach is make it fun. As long as they're having fun, you'll go home at the end of the day in one piece. And I never forgot what I learned. I did that for 10 years. So when I teach, I make it fun. There's another advantage. When your brain is having fun, it wants to remember what made it feel good.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're giving them information they can use while they're having fun, it wants to remember that information. So now it sticks instead of disappears. Instead of in 5 minutes, I never want to remember what I did today. It was so miserable. It's like, this was fantastic. I want to remember this forever. So having fun is an important part of learning.
So true.
That's really amazing, because people they don't remember what you said or what you taught or anything like that, but they do remember how you made them feel.
Oh, yeah.
And Howard, I just want to stop for a second and just say berglearning.com. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about berglearning.com, because I know there's going to be viewers out there, people who are thinking about homeschooling, or either people that are homeschooling, says, hey, this guy is saying some things that I want more, kind of like that old song back in the 70s, more and more and more. Well, you're on the right channel.
Well, it's a full plate of programs: reading, writing, memory, and math, how to speed learn. And if they're interested, I do private instruction as well. I have private students as well. But this is a video, the videos. And we know that kids today have shorter attention spans than we did when we were younger.
Oh, yeah.
They're so used to video that books bore them.
Yes.
So we made short lessons, like 10-minute. The longest lessons, like 20 minutes. And there wasn't any way to shorten it because it was a 20-minute drill. But most of the lessons are like 10 minutes. Wow. And then we have exercises to practice because they need to do something. They're bored. They don't want to have someone tell them what to do.
True.
They want to experience it. And that's how they learn it. So we made it easy to learn. We made it easy to experience. And we have a support team that walks them through it if they need help. And if they can't help them, I personally get involved. I want to make sure, I'm the president of my Rotary Club. I want to make sure everybody actually gets what they paid for. But why would you pay for it? I don't understand. Right. You don't get what you paid for. And I need to know what's going on so I can make it easier to learn and easier for them to succeed. So I always get involved if someone can't help them.
And ladies and gentlemen, his website is berglearning.com, berglearning.com. And Howard's website is just howard@berglearning.com.
Email. That's my email.
That's your email, yeah. And anyway, I'm still tripping about how to, read a book in an hour. But sincerely, reach out to Howard if you have specific questions about homeschooling and more information. He'll be glad to get back with you. And please go to his website, berglearning.com.
On Thursday, I'll show him how to speed learn the Bible because I know a lot of homeschoolers, that's a big part of their education. And one of the things we taught our kids was how to do Bible studies. We'll do more of that when we get into writing on Thursday.
Okay. Wow, that's going to be amazing.
It's fascinating. My goodness.
Yeah.
I would personally like to say something in regard to you teaching inner and then, and all of that, and your history and teaching. I was also a professor in nursing and things like that, but I wanted to take my hat off to you, tell you thank you for your years of service. My goodness.
Thank you.
And for sure. Absolutely. Thank you. Because, you made an impact, you're making a difference. But I think you first have to assess that there's a problem, that there's a situation that needs to be upgraded or, handled in a different way. And I think that's why you obviously developed this because, I'm sure you were dealing with students that were, even my own daughter, sometimes she's like, do I have to read a book? And I'm like, well, I'm being honest, like she's super smart though, Howard. She's like super smart, just an awesome little girl. And I just honor her. But like, hey, we've all been there, done that. And even sometimes as an adult, you're like, oh my goodness, I got to get through this material instead of like, hey, I can't wait to get through this material. It's like, gosh, I have to get through this material. How can we make that transition for even children who are 11 and even ourselves? Sometimes how can we make that pivot from have to wanting to and it being fun?
Oh, that'll be our next topic then. One of the reasons they're so bored is they're in a very visual generation. I'm going to tell you the problem. When you're reading, it's like someone's talking aloud in your head, one word at a time.
Yes.
When you're driving in a car, you read the road, front, back, left, right, all at the same time. And you're watching your instrument gauges, you're watching the road, you're watching your GPS, you're talking to your friends, you're on the phone, and the radio's playing all at the same time, and you're bored. How come you can go 70 miles an hour on a highway in 4 directions simultaneously in your brain, and then you only read 200 words a minute in a book and you're bored? And the difference is in the car, it's a movie. You're processing things visually. When most people read, they're using their eyes to hear what they're reading. Nobody reads faster than they can talk because that's how they hear the book, one word at time. It's a bottleneck. I'm teaching them how to read more visually, like driving. and they're seeing more of a movie. It's more visual. And what I'm recalling are the movies. And movies have tremendous, look at the picture behind you with Jim. Look at all the detail. When you remember the picture, you're describing what's in the picture, and all the details come back very effectively and efficiently. So by being a more visual reader, one, it's more engaging. Two, it's less boring. You get done faster, and it's more interesting. And if you'd like, I can show them how to get started right now to go 20 to 40% faster right now.
Oh, yes, sir, please.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, so, I would love that.
Okay, find a book you've read, preferably nonfiction. There's more structure. Fictional books are designed to confuse you. If you know the ending at the beginning, it's not fun. So read for a minute. Don't do it right now, later. Read for a minute the way you normally would read. Nothing special, with a timer. When the clock rings, take a pencil or a pen and make a little mark where you finished, and that's a measurement of how far you read now. Now the magic. Go to the second chapter and take your hand and go across one line at a time, eyes following your hand, and this is important, as fast as you could comprehend. Keep speeding up till you don't know what you're reading. That's when you know it was too fast, because you already understand what's in the book. And if you're not understanding it, there's only one reason. It's too fast. Slow down just enough so the comprehension is there. And as fast as you could comprehend, move your eye one line at a time across each line of the page. And then go back to the first chapter where you tested your speed. And read for 1 minute with a timer with your hand moving your eye as fast as you could comprehend. And the little line that you put there the first time, you'll pass it 20 to 40% further. Just doing that one change. Now, it takes a couple of hours to go 100 to 400% quicker, and that's what we teach at Berg Learning. But this is the very first step, and it's making it more visual and more engaging. Plus, when you're using your hand, it eliminates some of the problems like visual regression, where people will read the same word over and over. Your
my goodness, yes.
That because you keep going, you can't go back. Or they lose their place, they got distracted, and they're like, where was I?
Yes,
you get bored. Your hand keeps your eye engaged, like the baton of an orchestra maestro. It keeps you focused. It also helps to eliminate visual regression and dispersion, and it helps to eliminate sounding aloud, verbalization. Many people were taught to read aloud, and they still do as adults, and so they're limited to their speech level for reading. When you start going at a certain pace, it's too fast to talk. I'm going 80 pages a minute. It would sound like a fax machine. So this is something that eliminates 3 problems: speaking aloud, getting distracted, and repeating yourself over and over again. And so it's a perfect way to speed you up and eliminate 3 common things that slow people down while reading. That's an easy thing to learn.
Wow, Tanya, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to feel a little smarter myself. You know.
Thank you.
I think these are excellent strategies.
It's so down to earth too. That's what I love about Howard. My goodness,
it should be easy. If the solution is harder than the problem, it's just another problem. You're supposed to make it easier for students to learn, not make it harder.
What was the biggest problem that ushered you into creating this program? Was it just the fact that you were seeing students that were just bored with reading, didn't want to, or what was the biggest problem you saw that you wanted to solve?
I'll give you my backstory. When I grew up in Brooklyn in a very bad part in the projects.
Yeah.
There's a lot of violent gangs.
Yeah.
And I found the safest place was the library. I never saw one kid in a gang in the library, ever.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
They'll never go there. You know? So I read well. I was reading college level at 11. I went to the State University. Well, I read the theory of relativity when I was 8. That was a little different.
When I went to relativity at 11 years old.
8. No, I read it at 8. I was reading. I started studying like comparative religion and mythology when I was 7. I was a little different. I was studying astronomy when I was 6. I was always interested in learning. I was a museum guide when I was 6. I lived by the Brooklyn Children's Museum. It's different times. And I would go across the street from my house and tour people through all the science in the museum on Saturdays. They gave me a quarter and I donated to the museum. But I went to all the programs they had for 2-3 years. I loved it. It was all science. It's how I got into science. It was stimulating, and it never lost my passion. Well, when I got to college, I was majoring in biology. I went when I was 17, but in my senior year, I did the 4-year psych program. I told the dean I wanted to do psychobiology, which is the biology of behavior. I only had 1 year left, and I had to do the whole program in 1 year and take 6 science courses with 2 4-hour labs. And he said, Howard, you're not smart enough. I also had 3 jobs. I was working 18 hours a week. And he said, you're not smart enough. You can't handle this. Back then, slide rules were used for lab reports, so it took 40 hours. So 2 labs took 40 hours of lab report, plus 8 hours of lab, plus 18 credits of science, and 18 hours a week of work. It wasn't fun.
Yeah.
But I had to learn a lot really, really fast.
Wow.
And I got up to 80 pages a minute. And then I wondered if it was me or the technique. And when I eventually made my school, I taught this to the kids, and they did, like I said, a full semester of college level courses in a week, and they passed it. Wow. So I knew it wasn't just that I could do it, it could be taught much better. Me doing it doesn't help anybody. Being able to teach it. I'll give some examples.
And pass it on. Yeah.
Brad Voller. A lot of people know Brad. He was big in homeschooling. Brad was one of my students. He finished his 4-year degree in 6 months. He went to Thomas Edison, which is Rutgers online program. They let you do 90% CLEP. So we did 5 AP tests a week, which is not easy, and 1 online class, passed his BA in 6 months, became a missionary, and learned Chinese in 3 weeks. Again, not your average person. And then when he was 40, he sold his company for $38 million. Okay, that's what happens when you learn how to think.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think we use only like less than 10% of our brain, at least most people, correct? I mean, so I think that when we can tap into different areas of our brain, of course, neuroscience is my background, but I feel like sometimes we don't tap into those areas. We don't utilize and optimize our brain function. So I'm really, really excited to hear about, first of all, it was through your own issues that you came upon this. But my question is, I just think this is fascinating. Did you just figure this technique out yourself through trial and error?
What was happening, I was reading 80 pages a minute. And remember, I was studying psychobiology, so I decided to watch myself read. So I turned a part of my mind inside and observed myself reading and asked myself, what am I doing now to process this material that other people aren't doing? What's the first thing I'm doing? What's the second thing I'm doing? And I watched myself go through the steps because I was doing a process. So I started looking inside at the process. And then I wrote down what I saw. And then I wondered if I taught the same steps to other people that I was observing myself do, what would happen? I didn't know, and it worked. It turned out it was very effective, and it worked. In fact, Barron's books. You've heard of Barron's books? Barron's is a big student publisher. They called me up and asked me to write a book for students on my system. I didn't send them a proposal. If you're familiar with publishing, it's not that easy. You got to find an agent. and they have to submit a proposal, and maybe someone might say, we're interested. It's unheard of for a publisher to call an author and say, we want you to write a book.
Oh, yeah.
And have a funny backstory on it. So they called and said, we want you to write a book. I said, well, I haven't sent you a proposal. They said, we know, but now you have to, because that's how we write books here. So I said, okay, so I'm good at writing book proposals. So I wrote a proposal, and the next week someone else called and said, we can't use you. And I'm like, that's strange. I know I did a really good proposal, but okay, they don't want it. The next week, the first editor calls and says, when can you write the book? I'm like, what are you talking about? They said they can't use me. He says, oh, when you write a proposal, we take your name off it. We want it to stand on the merit of the proposal, not on the reputation of the writer. And they needed someone to review the proposal to see if it was any good. And they picked you to review it, not knowing it was your proposal. And you can't review your own proposal. So both editors at Barron's Books picked me. One picked me to write the book.
Wow.
And the other one didn't realize that it was my book and picked me to review the book to see if it should be written. I felt very good about that.
That's funny.
That's quite an honor too, because when Tanya was talking about that thing about, and we've heard it from time to time, about using 10% of the brain. I remember one time I was in high school. I think I was a junior, and Howard, you remember Walter Cronkite? Whatever he said was gospel. Yeah. Okay.
We need him today. That's one of these missing in America.
He was. I had just walked in. My mom and dad were watching the CBS Evening News, and Walter says, "Scientists have proven that as humans, we only use 10% of our brains." And my parents were kind of like, "Wow, really?" And it kind of like took them back a little bit. Then both of them looked at me and they got upset. And I thought, well, what did I do? Then it dawned on me. They probably thought when I was in school, I wasn't using that much.
When Walter told Nixon that we lost in Vietnam, that's when he said he knew he lost. Walter was very, very respected.
Yeah, very powerful. Very powerful, yeah. He sure did, yeah. Because in 68 is when he said the war in Vietnam is not winnable during Khe Sanh. And that was during the Tet 68. And Tet 69 was nothing like Tet 68. I can say that because I was there in 69. And my point being is that sometimes when we take something like that, we can actually warp the mindset of someone, and they become convinced that they don't have the horsepower to go and to reach those higher goals. And that's not true. That's not true at all, because all of your learning has been just average people, right?
And even a lot of those kids were ADD and dyslexic. I had a girl, Amy. She had third grade reading in the ninth grade. They were putting her in special ed. Her mother and her were hysterical. Because they're basically saying, you're going to say welcome to Walmart. If you're lucky, that'll be your best career path. Welcome to Walmart. And that wasn't what they wanted for their child. So they brought her to the school. We analyzed her. We figured out her problem. When we got done with her, she had her 2-year degree with a 4.0. When her friends that she went to high school with, they were her age, she got through 2 years of college before they got out of high school with a 4.0, went to Baylor, a good school. You're in Texas, it's a good school. Had an A average, got a full scholarship, and got her master's degree at 22. And she was special ed and had third grade reading in ninth grade. So that's what I do. That's what we do. We help.
That is amazing. I was going to ask that, but you guys beat me to it, because I was thinking about, different disease processes and the, dyslexia and, kids that, I hate to say, some form of disability or whatever, or maybe a hindrance to their learning, and what have been the outcomes of those students. I think it's pretty positive from what you're saying. I mean, I can see that you've helped a lot of different people in different situations. It's almost like you do an assessment on the children or the adult, and then you customize to their specific needs. Is that what's happening?
Well, we know that a lot of the dyslexics we had, as they speed up, the part of their brain that's reading is a different part than the part that's got dyslexia. It's going from listening to a book to seeing a book. So it's a more visual part of the brain, which is less likely to encounter dyslexia. And I can't say everybody's destroyed because there's different forms.
Yeah.
But we had a very, very high success rate with those students that wanted to be helped. That's another big part. Do you want to learn? If you're saying, I can't learn and I don't want to learn, that's different than I'm having a problem. Can you tell me what I'm doing wrong and help me? That's a much easier solution. Yeah. The other one, you first have to get them in a mindset to want to be helped. And that takes more work. It's doable, but it's a harder job than someone who says, I know I have a problem and I really want to fix it. Can you help me? Yeah, you can help those people much quicker than someone who says, I don't care and I don't want any help and I'm not interested in anything you have to tell me. Those are more challenging. And unfortunately, there were a lot of those kids, but the majority aren't like that. The majority are like, I just don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah.
I'm trying my best.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but something's not right because I'm not getting the grades I should be getting for the work I'm doing. If you like, I can show them another skill to give them a little more value from what we do today, if that would help.
That would be fantastic.
How to remember, a little speed memory.
Okay.
So one of the things parents often say, how do you remember anything? So I'm going to show you, I think I did this on your other show, but here's how to speed memorize. I'm going to give you 10 things and I'll show you how to remember them. And then I'll show you how. Not only do we remember them, but backwards and forwards effortlessly. And by the way, parents, this could be taught to youngsters as young as 3. It won't look like it when I start, but it can. You want to remember pole, shoes, tricycle, car, glove, gun, dice, skate, cat, and bowling pins. And if you're like most people, you don't know 10 things perfectly backwards and forwards just yet. But you will in 3 minutes. And then I'll show you how to use this as a tool that your student can use for a very important part of their studies. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
One of the secrets for learning is you remember 10% of what you read and 90% of what you say and do. And we're going to say and do because this is not a drill. This is a tool. And one of the reasons it works, we know that when you take a list, it's hanging in your memory. We can take a list we need to know and connect them. It takes less time. You're hanging it on a hanger. And I'm going to bet everyone watching today can count to 10. I feel confident that that's not a challenge for our audience. And we're going to use those 10 numbers to learn those 10 things perfectly, effortlessly, and quickly. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Number 1, looks like a pole, like a flagpole. What's 1?
Pole.
Oh, perfect. Say it.
Flagpole.
2 is shoes.
Pole.
You wear 2 shoes. What's 2?
Shoes.
What's 1?
Shoes.
Pole.
Pole. 3
Flagpole.
is tricycle. How many wheels on a tricycle?
3.
So what's 3?
Tricycle.
What's
Tricycle.
2?
Shoes.
Shoes.
And 1.
Pole.
Perfect. Those watching, do this with us. You'll learn it.
Okay,
4
Tanya,
is a
you're
car.
next.
How many tires are on a car?
4.
4.
What's 4? Car. 4 is car. What was 2?
Shoes.
What was 1?
Pole.
What was 3?
Tricycle.
And if you make a mistake, that's how you learn it. You rehearse.
Yes.
5 is a glove. How many fingers in a glove?
5.
What's 5?
Glove.
What's 3?
Glove.
Tricycle.
What's 1?
Tricycle.
Pole.
Pole.
Perfect. Getting smarter. 6 gun. You remember, you're in Texas. They love guns in Texas. 6 gun. What's 6?
Guns.
4.
Car.
2.
Shoes.
Shoes.
Perfect. Lucky 7 and dice. Lucky 7. What's 7?
Dice.
5 is give me a clue.
Glove.
3.
Tricycle.
1.
Pole.
You're almost done. Rhymes word. Say 8 skate.
8 skate.
What's 8?
Skate.
What was 6? Texas. What did they love in
gun.
Texas?
Gun.
4.
Car.
2.
Shoes.
Perfect. 9 is a cat. How many lives does a cat have?
9.
What's 9?
Cat.
7 was lucky in what game?
Dice.
5 is a
glove.
3 is a
Tricycle.
1 is a
pole.
Last one, 10. How many bowling pins are in an alley?
10.
10 bowling pins. Let's do the numbers now. 1.
Pole.
2.
Shoes.
2. 3.
Tricycle.
4.
Car.
5.
Glove.
6. Texas.
6 gun.
7's lucky in.
Dice.
8 rhymes with
skate.
9 is a
cat.
What was 10?
Bowling pins.
Great. Now, here's how you use it. You just learned how to speed learn numbers. There's only 9 symbols in the 0 to 9. That's all there is. The 0 is the 10 bowling pins. Let's say you're in a hotel and your room is 314. How many times by the time you got to the lobby you forgot your room? You make a picture. 3 is a tricycle. 1 is a pole. 4 is a car. Tricycle hits a pole on a car. Tricycle hits a pole on a car. Tricycle, what number?
3.
Hits a pole.
1.
On a car.
4.
That's your room.
4.
Tricycle, pole, car.
Okay.
Now in school,
it's almost like
pi. Let me finish it now because it's important. 3.14 is pi to measure a circle in geometry. So kids use it in science and math and history to remember the numbers that they have to know. And you make pictures into numbers and you string them together. And now you know how to speed learn numbers.
Oh my goodness. I love it. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that you have incorporated different aspects of learning, and then this is amazing. And then you've developed your own techniques, and it's proven. I see what you just did. That is absolutely amazing. It's like word number association, but it's almost like you put it in visual. You put it in visual form, so you can increase the capacity of learning very quickly.
Because vision is the strongest sense. Vision is the biggest part of the brain. That's where you want it to go.
Wow. That's amazing. It really is. So how many partridges in a pear tree there, Tanya, did you say?
Well, it's in a partridge in one. It's in a partridge in a pear tree.
Oh, that's simply amazing. And again, ladies and gentlemen, Howard's website is berglearning.com. If you want to get in touch with Howard, just email him. Let me put up the little thing here. Email him.
We do private instruction also.
Wonderful.
That's amazing. That is amazing. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you do business and everything with Howard, we don't get anything from it because this is not what we're about. We're about providing good quality infotainment for people out there.
Yes.
And our income comes from other sources. And so please, and that's true with all of our guests, any product on here, we do not ask for one thin dime because we do not operate like that. But berglearning.com, my goodness gracious, that is a wonderful website. I went over there and looked at it because you were on our radio show a couple of weeks ago.
That. Thank you.
Yeah.
Remember, Thursday we're going to cover how to write.
Okay.
That's a big part of school is getting reports done. I'm sure parents have had their kids pull their hair out. I can't write it fast enough. It's due today. What do I do?
Yeah.
My students were writing 28-page reports at the graduate level at 11 years old in 4 hours. Consistently. And I'll show them how it's done. So, and how to study the Bible also, because that's part of what homeschooling, a lot of homeschool families spend a lot of time on Bible studies. I know my students did. and we'll show them shortcuts for that too.
Fantastic.
Well, I tell you right now, Tanya,
Fantastic.
we're kicking off this week here with homeschooling. This is part 1. And I'll tell you right now,
it's impressive. It's really impressive. But I love the fact that like he just developed this technique, but through trial and error of his own, experiences. And then he just developed the technique, and now he's helping hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people with this technique. But this is really making an impact. And I guarantee anyone out there having trouble with their students or their son or their daughter definitely needs to get in contact with you. I mean, I feel like this is a major, big, huge breakthrough it would be for them.
Oh yeah, it really is.
I love doing it. Yeah. I'm a grandparent. Look at the news. Do you think our biggest problem in America is too many smart people? We're giving kids there's the virus, there's the expanded the deficit's exploding. Mm-hmm. There's so many problems. Let's make them smart enough to fix the problems.
Oh, yeah.
We're giving them.
Say that again. Yes.
They deserve at least a fighting chance.
Oh, yeah.
It's a different country. When you and I were young, if you went to college and you worked hard, you had a future. That is not the truth anymore. You could have 10 degrees and be a hard worker and disciplined and broke. It's more than just knowing information. It's knowing how to learn new things quickly when things change. And things are changing. In the next 10 years, 30% of all the jobs that exist will be gone.
Correct.
The people who are going to succeed are people, this is what makes you successful. What's in between your ears.
Amen.
If you have that, you can do anything. And if you don't, you're going to wonder what went wrong. And I'm trying to make sure that the people watching, their kids are one of the successful kids. I'll give an example. Micah Stanley passed the bar at 19 in California. Another student was Stephen Terry, also all homeschooled. Stephen graduated UTA, University of Texas, on 16, 4.0, economics degree, not an easy major, master's in math at OU at 19. 397 GPA. He's a professor at Yale. Justin Brummett was a normal kid, not a genius. C student at 11. We taught him how to learn. Finished high school at 15. Homeschooled. 2-year degree at 17. Bachelor's at 19. Master's at 21. English professor at Tarrant College at 21. So at 11. He's a C student.
Fantastic.
At 21, he's a professor. What changed? How to think, how to learn. And I want to get this in more kids. And homeschoolers is the best one. You can do it. I go to a school, they don't care. Yeah. I was teaching for 10 years. I volunteered to teach it for free. They wouldn't let me. 2% graduated and said, how can I ruin the numbers? I quit my job as a teacher to do this.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Parents can make the decision. My kid's going to be a winner.
Yes.
My kid's going to learn. My kid's going to have a future. And no one can stop me from doing that for my kid. And that's why I do this.
Oh, amen.
Absolutely amazing, because you can feel your passion, you can feel your purpose, you can feel that you're so engaged with what you're doing that this is your why. That's your why.
Absolutely. It matters to me. When I watch these kids, of course they get credit for what they did, but I help them accomplish it. And it makes me feel I'm doing something with my life that makes a difference.
Oh, yes.
And so it's these kids that really make it work for me, because me doing it isn't going to change anything. You doing it. That's going to matter. Your kids doing it. The beauty is when you get the program, use it for you at work so you can make more money, and let your kid use it in school so they get higher grades. It's the same program. It just both win for a different reason.
Oh, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, our time is just about up. We got about 15 seconds left. I just simply want to say thank you to Mr. Howard Berg for being with us again and being on our radio show as well as our TV show. And again, be sure to go to berglearning.com or email Howard at berglearning.com. Thank you so much. Howard's going to be back with us on Thursday, and be sure and tune in. Be sure and let others know that they're in for a treat and they can get excited about education. On behalf of Tanya and Mr. Howard Berg, I'm Jim Grant. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.